Good day everyone. I'm Olores Angeline Ihara and I'll be presenting a photo story. My task is to make a story about this photo. The Dark Fairy. In a land beyond the realms of human, there lived a small group of fairies. They were known for their simplicity and beauty. All were known to give life. All but one. Melantha, daughter of the lowest fairy in the whole Pontius. She was different. Unlike the others, she was known to draw life from others rather than give it. She was despised and treated like dirt, and never had a place of love and care. Everyone hated her, all but her mother. She loved Melantha and never stopped telling her, "You're special and unique, dear. I love you even if you are different." On a cold day, Melantha walked into the village. Her and her mother were treated as an outcast in the village and rarely allowed to go into it. She had just walked into the village and saw a flower garden. She had barely touched it when it suddenly withered. "She's at it again!" shrieked the fair princess to her friends as she walked towards Melantha. I didn't mean to," Melantha let out in a whisper. "Well, we all don't mean a lot of things, don't we?" the fairy princess said as she stalked towards Melantha. She raised her hand to slap her while the others laughed, no one making a move to protect her. Just as the fairy princess was about to slap her, a burst of black energy surrounded Melantha, causing the princess to fly backwards. Choking gasps escaped from the princess and she was on the verge of dying when Fairy Queen appeared. "What's going on?" she demanded. "It's the princess." Melantha attacked her, one of the fairy girls said. The queen immediately sent a burst of energy towards the princess, and attack stopped, causing her to faint. "You!" the queen pointed at Melantha. "You did this!" Just then her mother ran in, putting a defensive stance in front of her. "Please, your highness, please forgive her," she cried, tears in her eyes. "She needs to be punished for her doings," the queen said with a loud voice. "Please, your highness, don't. I'll do anything," she said. "Anything?" the queen asked with a cruel smile on her face. "Yes, yes, anything," she replied, anxious tears flowing down her eyes. "All right, then die," the queen said, and with a swish of her hand, her head was cut off. "That makes one of them," the queen said with a cold look in her eyes as she looked back at the body. "Now, for you," she said with a cruel smile came across her face. Melantha shook with tears in her eyes as she ran out of the scene, angry tears falling down her face for not being able to mourn the death of her mother. The sound of the guards behind her pushed her to run faster. She looked back at the place she once called home with one thought in mind, and that is revenge. She would be back and she would make them pay. A dark shadow looked ahead towards the fairyland Pontius. It carried a dreaded feeling with it as it looked ahead from the treetop. The villagers were moving about without a care in the world as the shadow jumped out of the tree and back to where it came from. "My queen, it's time," Shadow said to the figure in black that stood behind in the dark not far off from the village. "It's about time I paid them a visit." "Your Highness, there's been an attack at the northern sector of the village. We're under attack," a guard yelled as he ran into the throne room of the queen. "What? Evacuate others and get ready for battle," she shouted as she stood from her throne room. The queen ran into the battlefield with a furious look, ready to kill the person who started this war, only to come face to face with Melantha, the dark fairy. "You again. Of course it had to be you," she said with a sneer on her face. "Good to see you," Melantha said. "Now, goodbye." she said as a shadow knight came out of the ground and sliced her head off. From then on, Melantha became the queen of the fairyland Pontius. She treated everybody fairly. She always put in her mind that love and care is very important. The end, and that's all, and thanks for watching.